Hello and welcome. My name's Sarah McLean, and I'm really excited you're here today. It is June, 30th. It's the end of June, and we're well into summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, and happy winter to those of you in down under. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about interdependence and transcendence and the beauty of your life. So I woke up this morning and my dog is 11 years old and she's having some challenges. She doesn't really get up anymore. I mean, it's a very rare thing that she's motivated to move into the living room from the bedroom. Got her nicely medicated so she doesn't have any pain, but it also creates some challenges for her to move around and get excited until my next door neighbor's dog comes over. And she has to protect her bones. So she gets up, and I'm very grateful for him to make her get up and down a little bit. But also today I woke up and we have no water. And that's a challenge. You know, California's in a drought, that's for sure. But I think the water company somehow has turned off the water, or there's some issue with the water. And it made me recognize that, you know, our independence, or I should say interdependence on so much. Whether it's the interdependence on the air we breathe, the people we spend time with, the water we drink, the food we eat, the people who somehow make this internet work and we can connect this way, whether it's through your cable system or your satellite dish. We're interdependent on the people that make our clothes and that grow our food. And we're interdependent on so many people and things. And I wanted to share something I was looking at this morning. It's by, I think it's Richard Hanson. Let me see if I can find this here. Rick Hanson. And he's an amazing meditation teacher. And I'm going to invite you to do what his invitation is. He says, you want to try a little experiment? Stop breathing for a few seconds, maybe 12. And I invite you to do this if this feels okay to you to do this. Now, what would happen if you couldn't continue to breathe? So for this experiment, he says it's an intimate way to experience a deep truth, that we live dependently, relying on 10,000 things for physical survival, happiness, love, and success. We depend on each other. I depend on you. I wouldn't be able to teach if you weren't here. And within a half a minute of no air, and please feel free to breathe at this point, within a half a minute of no air, you start to recognize the value of air. Just like today with a couple of hours of no water, I'm starting to recognize the value of water. So second by second in your life, your mind and your brain and your body require oxygen. That requires nourishment. It requires this constant nourishment from the world around you. And the same goes for our emotional wealth and our emotional well-being, is that we rely on people's touch, attention, company, care, teachings, their civility, their support, their art, their listening. And so when you think about how we live sort of in this precarious situation, so dependent on the world around us, it really helps us to wake up to the beauty and wonder of the world around us and our lives. And for many of you, you know that I am an environmentalist. And for many years, when I lived in Sedona, Arizona, I was in the closet as a meditation teacher, though I had been meditating and teaching meditation for years with Deepak Chopra. When I moved to Sedona, I thought, I really want to help people wake up to this beautiful earth. There was no solar, and we lived in the sunniest place. There were no really hardly any recycling. And it really started to make me want to change people's hearts and minds around walking gently on this earth. And so I still taught meditation, but I didn't even have a website. I didn't have any way of reaching out to anyone, and people found me accidentally. Meanwhile, I pretended that I didn't do it. And instead, I spent my time talking businesses and people into using recycled paper and to consider the environment when they were purchasing. And I realized no matter how much effort I put into that, how many facts I gathered. I did a newsletter that connected people from all around the state of Arizona, teaching people who's doing what and how they're building and ways to use insulation and ways to save water. And no matter how much information I had, I could not change their minds. So I recommitted to helping change people's hearts through the practice of meditation. And I know that if you're here, your heart has probably been affected and opened by the practices of meditation and mindfulness, that you do naturally start to wake up to the beauty and wonder of your life, whether it's the beauty of the water coming out of your tap or the way that the lights flip on when you turn the switch on, or the beauty of the earth, the grass, the greenery, the mist, the fog, the trees, the birds. So I met a woman as I was in Sedona, Arizona. I was in a nonprofit called Keep Sedona Beautiful, and I was on the board of directors, among other boards, but that was one of the boards I was on. And I met this woman named Barbara Litrell. And she was a very powerful, very accomplished woman who years ago worked for McCall's magazine in New York, was very confident and fearless, completely fearless. So as part of the board, we nominated her to be president, and she accepted it like she accepts everything that she's been nominated for. And though we didn't know what we were doing, we started collecting petitions because there was a threat to the national forest in Sedona. And they wanted to develop it and trade it out. And if you've ever been there, it's a glorious place. And you can't really imagine houses right up to the bases of these red rocks. They were this beautiful, beautiful protected wilderness that developers had their eye on. So we started collecting petitions, thousands of them. One day, Barbara and I loaded them into a suitcase and we made our way to Washington, D.C. And we had these massive suitcases that we walked into the halls of Congress and met with our senators, and we met with our congressmen, and they looked at us and smiled and thought probably that was very sweet that we did that. But of course, they voted not to turn it into a national scenic area, which is what we were aimed was. And so Barbara and I continued to work together to do things like that, the impossible really. And she's known for doing the impossible. But one day she said, Sarah, you need to get up and speak about keeping Sedona beautiful. You need to get up and speak about protecting the environment. I said, Barbara, I don't speak in public. I don't do that. You do that. You get up and do it. She goes, Sarah, where did you ever come up with that idea? Now, here I am. I make a living speaking in public, but this was years ago. And what ended up happening was I asked myself the question, where did I get that idea that I can't do this? Now, I'm going to invite you to think about the things you can't do and think about why you can't do them. Are you physically able to? Or is it your mind that says you cannot do this? In my case, it was my mind that said, you cannot get up and speak in public. It's too embarrassing. You don't know what you're doing. So I had to, as a meditation teacher, do some self-inquiry on that. And I'm forever grateful to Barbara because she gave me the confidence to make a change in, even if it was a failed change, try to make a change in government, try to make a change in the world around me and make it a better place, hang out with people who are powerful. And she actually helped me to see where I had my blinders on. So today, Barbara's on hospice. Just today, she just decided to stop drinking and eating. So, sorry. So her breast cancer came back, and as a person with cancer before, it's always a possibility. It's always a possibility. We're all precancerous anyway. I saw her when I was able to travel before in Sedona, and I could see that she was coughing, and she said her cancer had traveled to her lungs. And I've kept her here. I mean, she's still going to be here no matter what. I texted her yesterday. There's a woman here, Peggy. Oh, she's here. I can't see you right now, but Peggy put together a beautiful book from all the people who love Barbara and whose lives she's touched. And I thought, wow, isn't this beautiful that people can express how much they care about someone before they die, not at their memorial service. And so today is really about how meditation helps us to get more comfortable with the process of dying, because we're all going to get there. Now, Barbara was not a meditation person. She thought what I did was nice, but she didn't meditate. She was really involved in the church and prayers and working for the church, until one day somebody asked her to start a mental health group and start a meditation program. And she started this meditation program. Every week people would meet and meditate. She began to meditate with us. And now meditation is something that will help us to get more comfortable with the impermanence of life, with the impermanence of each moment, and help us to get comfortable with transcending all of that we cling to in our lives, whether it's all of that we're interdependent on. And she wrote to me yesterday in a text, she goes, I've always been in charge of everything. And this process is all about me surrendering. And I'm thinking, well, wait, she's in charge of when she's going on hospice, how she's going to do that. So Peggy, I know you put together that beautiful book, and Peggy just joined our teacher training program. And I'd like for you, if you just would say maybe a word or two about Barbara before we move into the meditation.
Sure. Thank you so much, Sarah. What a beautiful moment. Thank you for remembering her. Well, I always say that Barbara's magical. And she's the first person I met when I moved to Sedona. And every day after that, it's been going on 2 years. Every day after that, she introduced me to somebody special and moving, and somebody who was doing an important positive thing in the community. So she's all about love and generosity and compassion. And for her to, you're so right, she says she was always in charge of everybody and organized it all. And I just saw her last Saturday, and she said, it's time, I'm fine with it, and she's ready to go. So it's beautiful that it's she's like that, but it's unbelievable that the world will be without Barbara. But we'll keep her in our hearts for sure. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah. So why is it that meditation helps us to get more comfortable with this? I don't know if you've heard this before. In my last newsletter, some of you wrote back to me, because a lot of us know someone struggling with cancer. I've had it. It's a great teacher, and also can be a great opponent. But what is it that meditation helps us to deal with? So with meditation, as you know, there can be so many experiences that you have with your eyes closed. You can have a lot of thoughts or colors. You can have some physical sensations. You can have movements. You can have emotions. You can have so much going on. But then there's a moment or two that you cannot plan on, that you can only set yourself up for, that you cannot will into being. That is a moment of transcendence. Transcendence means to go beyond the time and space world that we're all so attached to, the time space that our body exists in, the time and space that this meditation exists in. There is a world that is beyond time and space, and you probably have experienced it. If you meditate fairly regularly, there may be this moment of time that you don't remember where you were, or time seems to have gone really slowly or quickly. You might have forgotten, you couldn't feel your fingers or something like that. And all of a sudden you come out of meditation and you're like, oh, where was I? Was I asleep? Transcendence is something that happens when we're sleeping too. We transcend the world. We don't even know what time it is. That's why when we wake up, we look at the clock, we look around, we figured out where we are, reorient ourselves. With meditation, it's called transcendence. And with sleep, it's different, because sleep is a dull state of awareness. With meditation, it's aware. You're aware, but not aware of any one thing. We'll talk much more about this in future calls, but what they call death in India, and they call in other places is they call it Maha, which means great, Samadhi, which means union. It's the great union, Maha Samadhi. It's different. Some people would call it Maha Nirvana. That's what Buddhists call it. So Nirvana sounds pretty good too. The great bliss, the great awakening. And so just like a wave returns to the ocean from which it arose, so do we. That's my belief anyway. And so when Barbara surrenders to the source field, to the force field, to the field of love, I said, that's exciting. That's exciting. I said, I don't know if anyone's ever told you that before, but I think it's exciting that we get to make that journey really consciously. So anyway, what I'd like to do is start us off with a meditation of breath awareness, since breath is life, really and truly, and no pun intended. And then I want to, after we've spent a little time, introduce you to a poem. It's called A Blessing for Beauty by John O'Donohue. And I'll read each line slowly, that you can either repeat it to yourself or sink into it a little deeper. And we're going to meditate for about 15 minutes or so. As I often say, there are 5 essentials, and they are: it's okay if you get distracted. Be nice to yourself in there. Don't try to have an experience you're not having. Just have them when you're having. Let go of expectations. That's always a good idea, whether you're transcending or anytime. A beginner's mind is essential. It helps you to savor this moment. And lastly, let's stick with the practice. So I invite you to get comfortable. Close your eyes if you like. You can always shift around if you need to, or move your body at any time, scratch an itch, whatever it may take. Just going to make sure my sound is off on my phone. Let's begin by acknowledging what is here right now. You might deepen your breath a little bit to settle the body. And welcome everything in this moment. Your thoughts or feelings about life and death. Welcoming the sounds around you. Welcoming the sensations in your body. The sensation of sitting, of stillness, and of movement. Letting your breath be natural. Simply noticing the sensation, the subtle sensations of breathing. Perhaps you sense the cool air as you inhale, or the warmed breath as you exhale. Perhaps you bring an attitude of appreciation for the ease of your breath. Whenever your mind drifts away to an idea, come back here, right to this moment when and where your life is, where your breath is. Though the breath might change as it gets faster or slower, deeper or shallower, let it be as it is. Tuning in to the pauses between each breath. Considering the impermanence of each breath. It comes and it goes without any attachment. Letting your attention rest at the end of the exhale. As you breathe naturally, invite your body to soften. Having faith in this moment, trusting this moment. And trusting that life loves you. We'll continue to pay attention to the breath for a minute or two more. I'll keep track of the time. Surrendering to this moment. May the beauty of your life become more visible to you, that you may glimpse your wild divinity. May the wonders of the earth call you forth from all your small secret prisons and set your feet free in the pastures of possibilities. May the light of dawn anoint your eyes, that you may behold what a miracle a day is. May the liturgy of twilight shelter all your fears and darkness within the circle of ease. May the angel of memory surprise you in bleak times with new gifts from the harvest of your vanished days. May you allow no dark hand to quench the candle of hope in your heart. And may you discover a new generosity toward yourself and encourage yourself to engage your life as a great adventure. May the outside voices of fear and despair find no echo in you. And may you always trust the urgency and wisdom of your own spirit. May the shelter and nourishment of all the good you have done, the love you have shown, the suffering you have carried, awaken around you to bless your life 1,000 times. And when love finds the path to your door, may you open like the earth to the dawn and trust your every hidden color towards the nourishment of light. May you find enough stillness and silence to savor the kiss of God on your soul and delight in the eternity that shaped you, that holds you, and that calls you. And may you know that despite confusion anxiety, and emptiness, your name is written in heaven. May you come to see your life as a quiet sacrament of service, which awakens around you a rhythm where doubt gives way to the grace of wonder, where what is awkward and strained can find elegance, and where crippled hope can find wings, and torment enter at last unto the grace of serenity. May divine beauty bless you. And bringing your attention now to the breath, to this moment. Surrendering to this moment as it is. As the meditation comes to a close, I invite you to keep your eyes closed just for another minute or so, taking your time before opening your eyes, or you can keep them closed as long as you like. Slowly moving from meditation into activity. You can stretch into the space around you if you like. Deepen your breath if you care to. Slowly begin to open your eyes if you want to. There's no rush. Take your time. So thank you for joining me. May divine beauty bless you. May you awaken to the love that lives through you as you. and lives through me as me and lives through every one of us. It's good to remember it. It's good to feel it. It's good to acknowledge it, for me anyway. Thank you for joining me. Want to see how you're doing in there? That was for Barbara. I'm going to stop recording now.